Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I will be talking about Prophet Muhammad and his flying pony. Several months ago, I said in one of my videos, the only prophet without miracle. In that video, I said I will be talking about these oddities. So many oddities in the story of the night journey or Isra Miraj. But I forgot until several days ago when I saw a video about Isra Miraj from a mosque back home, Indonesia. We will review the story and I will show you the oddities in that story so we can judge if the event did really happen or not. We will read some of the story from their own sources, right? And we have to give it benefit of doubt, be objective and not biased. So let us investigate. The story is about Muhammad went to heaven with multiple stops, basically. The night journey and the ascent of Muhammad and the revelations of Salah or prayers. The festival is celebrated by telling the story of how Prophet Muhammad was visited by two archangels while he was asleep, who purified his heart and filled him with knowledge and faith. The Prophet then traveled from Mecca to Jerusalem in a single night on a strange winged creature called Burak. Burak is said to be like smaller than a donkey but a little bigger than a mule. So kind of like pony. A flying pony with a human head. The funny thing is, it is also said the Burak sweating a lot after he knew he was supposed to take Muhammad on his back. Like he was kind of nervous or something, you know. So, and then from Jerusalem, he ascended to heaven, where he met the earlier prophets and eventually God. During his time in heaven, Muhammad was told of the duty of Muslims to recite salat or ritual prayers 5 times a day. Okay, so from Mecca, he flew to Medina. Muhammad flew to Medina, the place where he will get refuge in the future from angry pagans whose gods he made fun of. From Medina, he flew to the place where Moses received Torah, which is Mount Sinai. From there, he flew to Bethlehem, the birth of Jesus. And last stop before Jerusalem was the place where Moses died. And then he was taken to Jerusalem from there, where all prophets waiting for him. When he got there to Al-Aqsa, a mosque called Al-Aqsa, Jibril pointed with his finger, causing a crack in a rock, and tied the Burak to it. And then Jibril did the call of prayer. And then Muhammad led the prayer there. Muhammad allegedly led all the prophets to pray. All 124,000 prophets waiting for him inside the mosque called Al-Aqsa. Jibril said to do the adhan, right? The call of the prayer. So, this is the thing, right? The trip alone sounds like one of those religious tours with multiple stops, with several stops. And so now we have to ask ourselves, or if you're Muslim, you have to ask yourself, what was the purpose to take and show him the place where Jesus was born? What was the purpose of visiting the place where Moses received the Torah and where Moses died? Okay, I can see the followers taking a trip or religious tour like that from Mecca, and then go to Mount Sinai, and then go to Bethlehem, and then to the place where Moses died, and then Jerusalem. I can see this thing if the followers do this. But why would the prophet do the religious tour? What was the purpose? And another problem, of course, is when was Al-Aqsa built? It was built after year 700. It's built around year 705. Okay, the covered mosque building was originally a small prayer house erected by Umar, the second caliph of the Rashidun Caliphate. Umar took over Jerusalem in year 650. And then that little small prayer house was then rebuilt and expanded by Umayyad Caliph Abdul Malik and finished by his son Al-Walid in year 705. The mosque was completely destroyed by an earthquake in 746 and rebuilt by Abbasid Caliph Al-Mansur in 754. It was then rebuilt again in year 780, and another earthquake destroyed most of it in year 1033, and then rebuilt again. So the alleged night journey was supposed to be in year 621, but Al-Aqsa was built in year 705. And that's not all. That's, of course, the historical problem with it. And another question is, the modern Al-Aqsa, after all the expansions, can hold 5,000 people. How Muhammad led a prayer of 124,000 prophets? Now, go back to the story. Jibril did the call of prayer. Jibril did the adhan, call of the prayer, so loud, right? Two questions in that one thing alone. I have two questions. One is, if all the prophets were already waiting, why would Jibril do the adhan? What for? The prophets already there. Call of the prayer is to wake people up, wake them up from their sleep from the sleep, and get up and do the prayer. That's call of the prayer for. And another thing is, how come nobody noticed the call of the prayer in that year 621 in Jerusalem? Nobody noticed this, and nobody said anything. If 124,000 prophets gathered there, it's a large amount of people. Jewish people should notice this, should have noticed easily. It's not like 5 people. 124,000 prophets is a large amount of people. And I know it's night. It was at night, but still. And if Burak is provided by Allah for Muhammad to ride, how come they were afraid Burak would run away? The Burak was tied to a rock after Jibril making the crack by pointing his finger at the rock. That's another question. Why? The Burak is provided by Allah. The Burak should just stay without, they didn't need to tie it up to anything. The burak would have stayed. And Jibril making the crack just by pointing his finger. Is this the same Jibril who was afraid of a dog? He could not enter a room because there was a dog under the bed. Muhammad, remember the story? Muhammad was waiting and waiting. Jibril was no show. Muhammad was disappointed. No show, no call. Just because of a puppy. And here in this journey, he made a crack in the rock by just pointing his finger. Wow. In this story, suddenly Jibril was so powerful, so, incredibly powerful. And in another story, he was so afraid of a dog. There are three possibilities about the story about the dog and this Isra, about this journey. One possibility is, the first one is both stories are wrong, fake. The second possibility is one of them is fake. The Isra is fake. The third possibility is the dog story is fake. But both hadiths are Shahih, authentic. Well, this is very confusing. And the story about Muhammad entering Jerusalem, right, on a winged pony, is, I believe, is to rival Jesus when Jesus entered Jerusalem on a donkey. Large group of disciples praising Jesus and shouting, "Blessed, blessed is the King who came in the name of the Lord. Who come in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven." Muhammad probably heard the story and made up his own story that rivals it. That's the ego in Muhammad, I suppose. Now, the second part of the story, of the journey, the part where he was allegedly taken to heaven. There are different accounts of what occurred during the Miraj. Well, this alone should raise a red flag. But it's okay. We pass it. We just, most narratives have the same elements. Muhammad ascends to heaven with angel Gabriel and meets different prophets at each of the 7 levels of heaven. First Adam, then John the Baptist and Jesus, then Joseph, then Idris or Enoch, then Aaron or Harun, then Moses, then lastly Abraham. After Muhammad meets Abraham, he continues on to meet Allah without Gabriel. Allah tells Muhammad that his people must pray 50 times a day. But when Muhammad descends back to earth, he meets Moses, who tells Muhammad to go back to God and ask for fewer prayers because 50 is too much, too many. Muhammad goes between Moses and God 9 times until the prayers are reduced to the 5 daily prayers, which God will reward tenfold. So the reward will be the same. Amazing. Muhammad is the best negotiator. He can negotiate with God like that, from 50 prayers to 5 prayers, but the same rewards, because Allah would give a tenfold reward on the 5. To that, so to that again, Moses tells Muhammad to ask for even fewer. But Muhammad feels ashamed and says that he is thankful for the 5. So in Shahih al Bukhari, hadith number 7517, it is written on every level a prophet would greet Muhammad, right? But if you read the story, Muhammad did not actually answer to any of them. Instead, he turned to Jibril and asked, "Who is that?" Like a little kid. "Who's that?" Every time. He goes on the different level and then he asks the same question, "Who's that?" And I think it's a little bit rude. The prophet there greeted him, and then he didn't answer. He just turned to Gabriel or Jibril and asked, "Who's that?" Every time. This is also weird if you think about it. Earlier, he led 124,000 prophets in a prayer, right? To pray. If that really happened, then he should have met the main prophets. At least, I know he couldn't meet all 124 of them, 1,000 of them. Hey, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. I understand. Fine. But at least the main prophets are supposed to be in the front. He could have seen them. Jesus, he didn't see Jesus. Wow. Where was Jesus? In the back? He came late? Something? Moses, he didn't even see Moses. Aaron. Joseph. I think this is also problematic, right? And Muslims claim Muhammad never talked directly with God. How come he negotiated with Allah directly in this story, in this hadith? In this hadith, they spoke directly. There's no mentioning that Jibril is the middleman. And last question is, have you read the story of Abraham where he pleaded to God to spare Sodom and Gomorrah? He asked God if there, in Bible, he asked God if there are 50 righteous people, would he spare the city? God said yes. And then down to 45, to 40, and then 30, 20, and last was 10. Although the numbers are not exactly the same between the two stories, but the core story is the same. The part where Abraham was pleading to God and the part where Muhammad negotiating with Allah are close enough. Especially both numbers started from 50. Yes, I called Muhammad was negotiating. Yes, I said it. It is negotiating, if you think about it. You read the hadith and then you will see. Islam is mixing all kind of rituals and stories. If Muslims read Bible, not to believe it or anything, not to become a Christian, just for the sake of reading, they will question the night journey or Isra Miraj. The festival of Isra Miraj is no more than a made-up story, so Muhammad can feel somewhat superior. That's why this Isra Miraj leaves Muslims divided. Some believe this happened to Muhammad physically. So Muhammad went to all the places, including heaven, physically. And some say or believe this happened spiritually. Until today, I am still praying and hoping more Muslims will read Quran and Bible, so their eyes will be open and they will start comparing and think for themselves. Of course, to some Muslims at work, I told the story about Abraham pleading to God. And then I told the story about this negotiating with Allah story. So they will at least know. Well, that's all from me. Thank you for listening. For those who believe and celebrate Isra Miraj, God bless you all. And for those who are celebrating Good Friday and Easter or Pascha, that will be coming soon in a couple of weeks, God bless you. Have a nice life.